Welcome in to a short edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast, and we are in the Four Peaks mini bar. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am your mayor of the city of Phoenix. This, of course, is your Thunderstick, and my vice mayor, Jesse Friedman. And of course, Diamondbacks news broke the minute that we stopped doing our show, so here we are.
They definitely held off on announcing.
They did. They were like, all right,
first.
Well, hold on. Those guys go live at 1 on Mondays. We know that because it's Mailbag Monday, so we got to wait. We know they go a little bit long, so let's wait until about 2:15 to drop that information. So the news that comes out is the Diamondbacks have recalled outfielder Kyle Lewis, and they have sent down in a corresponding move Jake McCarthy, which is understandable with the way Jake has played lately, but is unfortunate because we really enjoy Jake McCarthy and for him as a player, as a person, and his defense has always been very good. But Kyle Lewis comes up, and now the Diamondbacks have one of the hottest hitters from the Reno Aces now as a part of their current roster.
Yeah, Kyle Lewis, since July 14th, he is slashing .434, .543, .789. That's an OPS well over 1,300. Yeah. So, yeah, there are some questions, I think, of how well that's going to translate to the majors, which is probably why we haven't seen that much of Kyle Lewis in the majors this season. When he's been in the big leagues, it hasn't necessarily looked great. But with how the Diamondbacks offense has performed in recent days, if you've got someone hitting the way that he is in Reno, you can definitely understand the Diamondbacks thinking in this situation. They're going to get a couple lefties in this Rockies series, so I'm sure we'll see him get some playing time. I also definitely didn't just say on our live show that I'd be surprised if they sent down Jake McCarthy. That definitely did not happen.
I was there. But yeah, when you took a look at Lewis's numbers for this season with the Reno Aces, they have been spectacular. You said that was since July 14th. I mean, this entire season he's slashing .361, .463, .650 with a 1.13 OPS. It's absurd numbers that he's putting up for the Reno Aces. But then when you compare that to the short stint he had in the majors, his slash line there, 182, 229, 303 with a 532 OPS. So much different. But he was only given 35 plate appearances in that stint. So it would be great to see him get some more time because we know there's an adjustment period, and you just kind of have to give somebody a little bit of time before you can kind of write them off for their performance.
Sure.
If he can add these kind of numbers to the offense, I really think that even half of his production right now as a Reno Ace is going to be beneficial to the major league club.
Yeah, I agree. The Diamondbacks are obviously looking for any kind of lift offensively that they can get. I know they won a couple games in that Padres series, but they still only scored 8 runs total in those 2 wins. I think there's still another gear here for the offense to reach. Jake McCarthy, although he has looked better since being sent down and called back up earlier in the season, he's hitting 192 in the month of August, 5 for 26. All 5 of those hits are singles. You're obviously getting a lot from him on the base paths, and his defense is also pretty good in the outfield, as you mentioned earlier. But I think the Diamondbacks continue to believe that Jake McCarthy is a better player than what he's shown this season. And, I don't think this is necessarily it for him this season. I think there's still a good chance you see him back with the big league club at some point down the stretch. But he obviously still has some adjustments to make. And I think there's still some room to improve to try to get his bat back to where we saw it being last season.
We also saw a near collision with Corbin Carroll that Zach Gallen kind of brought up during his post game that he wasn't really too happy about. And now that they needed to play crisp in order, to do that, it feels like Jake McCarthy has had just a few of those kind of mistakes, those mental errors in the outfield at times. So it's like even his defense hasn't been sharp recently. But Kyle Lewis will not be here to replace his defense because
Probably
most likely
not.
He will be here as a DH.
Yeah, that would be my expectation. This might mean that Tommy Pham is DHing a little bit less and getting into the outfield a little bit more, which is probably fine. Tommy Pham isn't a great defensive outfielder, but I don't think the D-backs want to use Kyle Lewis in that spot a whole lot. But yes, what you're saying about Jake is true. There have been a couple concerning moments, some near collisions this season. We saw, a big incident with Geraldo Perdomo earlier in the year that wasn't a great look. But by and large, I think Jake is a good defensive player. He's a fantastic base runner. this decision, I'm sure, really comes down to the bat just not being where the Diamondbacks want it to be.
So do you foresee it being an outfield now of Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Alec Thomas in center, and then Corbin Carroll in right field? Or how do you think the other guys are going to factor in there?
Yeah, you can kind of mix things around. I do think, Alec is still probably going to be your primary center fielder, and Corbin, I think, is going to start in the outfield every single day, as you'd expect. So it's just a matter of sort of mixing in Tommy Pham and Lourdes Gurriel. I would expect they would probably play more left field, which would push Corbin to right field for the most part. You don't necessarily love how Corbin's arm plays in right field, but we've seen him out there, and unfortunately for the Diamondbacks, arm strength is just never going to be a strong point of their outfield, I don't think. So, you're going to get what you're going to get, and Corbin obviously has plenty of defensive range, so he's still giving you some value in a corner outfield spot.
Any chance Kyle Lewis plays any outfield at all? Any chance?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I think it's more of an emergency situation.
Yeah, like maybe
probably.
If they sub him in late and they might move him into the outfield or something like that, but not.
I don't
really.
know if he's probably not like a late game defensive.
Well, yeah,
substitution.
no, I'm saying more if you just had to bring him in for his offense and then leave him in the game
Sure.
due to the substitution or whatever, right? So
yeah, I'm sure he's fifth on the outfield depth chart behind all four:
Everybody.
Thomas, Carroll, Pham, and Gurriel. So yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if you saw him out there. But I guess it's not impossible depending on how things work out.
Well, of course, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_Caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman, but our show is at PHNX_D-backs. Keep it locked right here to PHNX for everything on the Arizona Diamondbacks.